Hello, I'm Marius Herholdt, and I'm here today to talk to you briefly about a wellness way to support people in a post-COVID society. What does wellness have to offer us as counselors to assist people to improve their health and enhance their well-being? And this is just an overview. I'm not using a PowerPoint program because I do not want to appeal to you cognitively only. I'm talking from my heart just to share with you my experience of wellness. And I want you to listen with your soul, to open up without criticism, to just listen and enjoy. So let us all breathe and sit back and relax. I want to share with you from a personal narrative my experience of how I got into wellness. I'm actually here to also talk to you about this new exciting field that I've coined the term wellnessology for. Now, wellnessology is a subject that explores and the study of well-being as an option for counseling orientated uh, support. So I realized that the first important thing is when you work with people and you want to really be successful, effective, and do justice to people, you need to approach people holistically, systemically, integratively. We can't just like doctors focus only on the body. We can't just like psychologists focus only on the psyche. We can't just like pastors focus only on the spiritual realm. We need to embrace the total person in the old idiom of body, soul, and spirit. That is the holistic approach. And that forms the conceptual and metaphysical basis for wellnessology, an approach that will really accommodate the total person because of the fact that all these faculties are integrated with one another. And you can't really help people to transform and reap the benefits of wellness unless you approach them holistically. You see, to me, well being refers to a state of being where we as humans function on the level where cognitive faculties, affective faculties, body functions, spiritual inclinations, all these things are integrated into that organic whole system that we call the human person and the human being. And that also borders on the existential. In other words, the way we exist and experience the threats of annihilation and the COVID threats and economic decline and social and crime challenges, all these things really touch us on a deep level. That state of being, it threatens our well-being. So well-being is not really the concept derives from the 1960s when Dr. Halbert Dunn, who was a medical doctor working for Mayo Clinic, looked at the statistics and realized that people who had a resilience were people who enjoyed high level wellness. And those people who were susceptible to disease and mental challenges were people who were on a low level of well-being. So he asked himself the question, how could we establish a scientific model to enhance the overall well-being of people? In other words, to take them to a place of high-level well-being so that they could have better resilience and resistance against disease and mental dysfunction. And that is where the whole idea originated. But if you look at all the great religions of the world, from Buddhism to Christianity, you will find that this is what religion is all about, offering people well-being in different terms. Like, for instance, in the Bible, John 10, verse 10, Jesus says, I came to bring you life and life abundantly. So well-being is just abundant life, the fullness of life. Abraham Maslow, the humanist psychologist, called it the good life. He called it self-actualization. So it's there. That is a deep yearning that people have to be happy. So wellness is all about the science of happiness, and that was actually formalized in the study of positive psychology. It's very interesting to realize that it was born in a garden where Martin Seligman, who was then the chairman of the American Psychological Association, was working in a garden, and he was irritated with his little girl, the story goes, and she says to him, Dad, why do you always have to be so grumpy? And at that very moment, he had an epiphany, and he realized that his grumpiness was part of his critical inclination as a psychologist to look for fault, to look for problems, to look for dysfunctions. He was inclined to look at the pathology, uh, not the things that were right, but the things that were wrong, because that was the approach of psychotherapy, to fix that which is wrong. And so that changed him completely. He went to his office afterwards and contemplated on it, and that is how he founded positive psychology. So, positive psychology also brings to wellnessology the insight of the science of happiness. And Martin Seligman later developed the model known as the PERMA model, that stands for positive emotions, engagement with life, relationships that have quality, and also meaning and achievement. Those five things he posited as the basis for enhancing wholeness and well-being. And so we learn a lot from the science of happiness or positive psychology. There are many researchers like Alan Carr and also Barbara Fredrickson, who founded the broaden and build theory to give us ways, techniques of how to enhance the well-being of people. So you can see there's a lot of science that we bring to establish wellnessology as an interdisciplinary subject. Because the problem is, if that you go to a training institution, you say, I want to counsel people. They say, okay, you then become a psychologist. No, but I don't only want to work with the psyche, I also want to work with the body. Because body therapies and those things are also important. Then they say, okay, then you become a doctor if you want to work with the body. No, I also want to work with the spirit. Okay, then you become a pastor. No, I only want to work with the total person. So there is no uh, discipline at university level where you can accomplish this. So we had to establish a training program separately that really avails itself of an interdisciplinary approach, taking from Aaron Antonovsky's stuff in sociology, from Martin Seligman's contribution in positive psychology, and also from logotherapy coming from Viktor Frankl and so on, integrating all of these into a total, more comprehensive approach with many modalities that we can call wellnessology. So, a typical wellness practitioner will be able to enhance the well being of people. And there are many ways to do this because people, on average, are not always very happy. Professor Diener made research investigation into this, and he found that the average uh, mean for happiness is around about 6.75%. So most people are just beyond their threshold, which is, by the way, genetically determined, because some people are genetically predisposed to be unhappy, especially the introverted people and melancholic people and so on. So we can help people to increase happiness and also to enhance their well-being, to give them better resilience against disease and mental problems. And that is something that Professor Antonovsky called coherence, a sense of coherence, and SOC. So there are many technical ways in which we can assist people to find happiness and meaning in life using logotherapy and all these techniques. And then we also realize that we need to cover not only the mental and the emotional and the spiritual sides, But we also need to intervene on the biochemical side because we are integrated beings. And so for that, we find a lot of helpful aids in herbal medicines, especially tonics, herbal tonics, because herbal tonics work by nurturing the body, by revitalizing, by balancing the body. So it's not going to override the metabolic processes of the body, it's going to support the body in healing itself, appealing to that innate healing propensity of the body to become vital again. That is also very important. So, for instance, there is a class of herbs we call adaptogens, which includes things like ginseng and so on that you can use to help people. Things like St. John's wort that can improve people sitting with depression, and things like passion flower to curb stressful anxiety situations and so on. So we can use herbs as well. And this really gives us the opportunity to cater for the total person, body, soul, and spirit, on biochemical level, on mental and emotional level. And in doing so, we are in line with the policies of the World Health Organization, which redefined health many years ago at the Alma Ata and Jakarta declarations, to say that health is no longer regarded as the absence of disease, but as a positive state of mental, emotional, social, and physical well-being. So this is exactly what we do. And by doing that, we are moving away from the biochemical and the biomedical model to that of natural medicine and of wholeness, of a salutogenic approach in wellnessology, of well-being counselors. And I think this has tremendous potential. We also offer training programs in this field. So you can see on the screen below the links that you can follow if you're interested in learning more about this. I was also involved in the establishment of the Council for Counsellors many years ago when I was a part-time lecturer at the University of the Northwest at the Fall Triangle campus. We started training people in techniques like narrative therapy and so on. And then to accommodate those students, those graduates, we founded the Council for Counsellors. And later on, the National Qualifications Framework made provision for professional bodies in counseling to be registered. So we applied for that, and we're happy to announce that in 2014 we managed to establish the ASCHP as a professional body for wellness practitioners, which makes it now a recognized occupation in South Africa. If you register there, you'll be listed on the National Learner Database, and you will have a designation that is listed on the National Qualifications Framework. So nobody, no doctor, no psychologist will be able to stop you and say you're not allowed to do counseling, because it's a recognized occupation in South Africa. So on the bottom of the screen, you'll also find the link to the website of the ASCHP for more information. You're welcome to also visit the website. And I remember that when we were invited to address the board of the Health Professions Council to get sort of the green light for a professional body in counseling to be established, obviously we had to delineate our scope of practice. And the chairman said to me, what will be your domain in which you work, because you're not allowed to do psychotherapy? And I said, wellness. And they accepted that. They asked us to submit our scope of practice, which they then sort of agreed upon that this is acceptable to practice within the scope of wellness. And when I walked out of that meeting, I said to my colleague, I said, I'm so glad that we opened this way as an occupation, because as we say in Afrikaans, dis so wyd soos die Here se genade. And in holism, any person is a potential client, because remember now the definition of health is no longer the absence of disease. So you're not only looking for people who are sick, you're looking for anybody that is in need of enhancing their well-being, and that is you, is me, all of us are in need. So they're all potential clients, and this is why many of our wellness practitioners who really accommodate people on this level are thriving and doing very good and successful work. And I really hope that this brief introduction will provide a foundation for you on which to build as a tool in your hands to be able to help people in a post-COVID world to renew themselves, find transformative powers in happiness and well-being. Thank you for listening.